What's up guys, welcome back. If you're new to my channel, hi, I am Morgan. I'm a UX designer who works in the financial services industry, and I make videos talking about my career transition, what it's like to be a UX designer, and how you can become one yourself. Today's just going to be a frequently asked question and update video. I know you guys are probably like, why you haven't posted in so long and this is the video you're going to come back with. Yes, and I will explain why. First, I just want to say more videos are on the way. Thank you guys so much for filling out those polls. If you haven't filled out the poll yet, please participate. It helps me understand what videos you guys are looking for. Even though the results were pretty clear, more opinions are always welcome. So one of the updates is that work is going great, and because of that, I'm putting all of my energy into it, and I've just been a little burnt out, which is why I haven't really been making any videos recently. I've been focusing on stuff that isn't so much of a, like, I love YouTube, I love hanging out with you guys, helping you guys, but it is really, really draining. So I decided to start doing some things that are more for my mental health and just my own personal enjoyment. So I started learning languages again. I'm relearning French and I'm teaching myself Korean. I've also been reading a lot, and yeah, I was focusing more on stuff that I felt was good for my mental health. So I hope you guys can understand that, but I am working on coming back. I know that I also haven't been posting on Instagram or anything. I have really just been so exhausted, but it's for a good reason. Like, I really am loving my job. It's great. I'm so happy that I made this transition, and I hope that you guys get to that point really soon too. So another thing that has been taking up my time is working on a UX design guided workbook that will help you create your first case studies. I wish that I had something like this when I first started, because case studies can be so daunting, especially if you're not doing a project for a real company, or even if you are. Coming up with a solo project is really difficult. I'm going to be making videos in the future about, basically we're going to design a case study together. I'll probably start with a how-to series and then move on to actually designing together. That workbook is up on Etsy. But because you guys are here with me, you get 50% off. Go to my community tab, and the promo code is there, so that way you can get it for 50% off. I think it's a useful tool. Obviously, no pressure to buy it, but it obviously does support me if you do buy it. But I do think that it actually is just like a genuinely helpful tool. I wouldn't put something out there just to sell it. I would put it out there because I think that it's actually valuable. And if you do use it and you do like it, if you could leave me a review on Etsy, that would be so helpful. So another reason that I've been a little bit stressed recently is because we're going back to the office. So I need to move again. I'm moving again, so just figuring out the logistics of all of that has been taking up so much time and so much like mental space that I didn't want to make videos and be like dead. I'm tired of doing that. I'm tired of looking back at my videos and being like, wow, I made this video when I had zero energy because I was interviewing all the time. I want to bring good energy to you guys. I know I'm very, like, my voice is very monotone and everything, but like, I'm a pretty positive person. Like, sarcastic for sure, but I call myself an optimistic realist, and I don't like looking back on those videos and me just being absolutely drained, not giving you guys 100%. So I want my videos to focus more on quality rather than quantity. So that's why I've been putting off making videos as well, because I'll be in a much nicer space rather than like this dark room. I'll be in a really nice space to make better content for you guys. I'll be in a space where I can actually film like day in the life videos and stuff like that. So I'm looking forward to it, but like leading up to it, it's stressful because moving, finding where to live, it's all very stressful. But excited to go back to the office, or I guess go to the office for the first time. And then of course, an update on my career. Like I said earlier, things are going really, really well, but because of that, I am putting like 100% of my energy into work. It's amazing. I really love it. If you guys have any questions about what it's like being a UX designer, please reach out on Instagram. I respond more to the comments in YouTube. Yeah, if you have any questions, let me know. So now let's get into the frequently asked questions. You guys ask me these questions all the time. on Instagram, you ask me on LinkedIn, you ask me in the YouTube comments. So these are just some really common questions that I get. Of course, if you have any more, leave them down below. So a really common question I get is, what tools do you need to know? And yeah, I'm just gonna, I have the questions up on my phone, which is why I'm looking down. There aren't specific tools that you should know. You should know a design tool, like some sort of design software where you can make wireframes and designs. So Figma, Adobe XD, Sketch are the major ones. You should also know a prototyping tool. Common ones are actually included with design software. So Figma, you can prototype right in Figma. Adobe XD, you can prototype right in Adobe XD. Those are my preferred tools. But with Sketch, you have to use Sketch with InVision, and then you can also learn tools that are specifically for prototyping, like Marvel or Printable. But the most common thing you're going to see is either knowing Figma as a design tool and a prototyping tool, Adobe XD as a design tool and a prototyping tool, or you need to know Sketch with InVision. So I made it very clear during my interview as well as on my resume that Figma and Adobe XD are my preferred tools, but I do know how to use Sketch and InVision. All design tools are pretty much the same in how you use them. I think that Figma is the best, but the general UI, it's pretty much the same across design tools. Like there might be different names for different things, like in Figma, an artboard might be called a frame, and in Sketch, a frame is called an artboard. So just little differences, but you know how to use the tool. If you know one, you know them all. You should also try and learn about some collaboration tools. So for Vanguard, we use Sketch with InVision to prototype, and then we use Abstract the most. We use Abstract to communicate with development, with each other, leaving comments on each other's designs. So just understanding those tools, but also if you are in an interview and they mention a tool, just do a quick Google search, or if it's on like a job description and you don't know what that tool is, just look it up. You can be honest and be like, I'm not familiar with how to use it, but I do know what it is and I'm eager to learn. If you don't know how to use a certain tool, that should not determine whether or not you get the job, because those things can be taught. So just remember that. The next one is, what do you think got you your job? This is such a loaded question. There's so much, but if I had to pick one thing that I really think sealed the deal, I would say it was my portfolio presentation, because I worked my ass off on that thing. And I have a video on how to create your own portfolio presentation. I'll also make a more in-depth video in the future on how to actually like make it, when the other video is more about how to present one, or what to focus on when constructing your case study, when it's a conceptual case study, because it's really difficult. You're like, oh, well, I have no real outcomes or results because this is an imaginary project. But you can also go like, okay, so this is what I would look to do. And I think that's what they really appreciated, is that I gave a lot of thought to everything. I also know that they really liked that I showed empathy and curiosity throughout that. So having a really solid portfolio and then being able to present that portfolio, I think, is really what's going to get you the job. I would at least have one really in-depth case study. But of course, there are a lot of things that lead up to you getting a job. Ultimately, I do believe it was my personality that got me the job. They saw a lot of passion in me. They, like I said, saw that I was empathetic and curious. So I think that's really what got me the job, but you have to demonstrate that you understand UX design, you are eager to learn, and that you can work well with other people, and you're not just empathetic to your user, but you're empathetic to the people around you and their roles. How do I get a job with a small portfolio? The easy answer to that is have a bigger portfolio. Like I said before, have at least one really in-depth case study. What I see a lot when people reach out to me is that their portfolio will include things that are not UX design related. It will be like graphic design stuff, and that's not UX design. If anything, it's related to UI design. You should really focus on having a solid project, whether that is reaching out to a small business and doing a case study for free for them, or bartering or something, or you have your own in-depth case study that you put a little bit of money into. That's what I did for that case study I was talking about. I'll just leave that case study down below so that way you guys can see what I mean. Yeah, the real key is just to have at least one really eye-catching case study that really goes in depth in the design process, and it's not just like a copy and paste of what you did in your boot camp, if that's what you did, if that's all your portfolio is right now. Sorry, someone actually just purchased my workbook. That's so nice. Thank you, Hara, I'm so sorry. Thank you. So, where was I? Guys, I'm so out of it, but this is obviously not a scripted video. I just want to sit down and have a conversation with you guys. Yes, so just having one in-depth case study to show that you understand the design process. It's not copied and pasted from your boot camp. Look at other case studies, real case studies, to see how they went back and forth. You've got to show challenges, you've got to tell a story. If you go through a case study and you're like, yep, I did all of this once, I did the exact process, and I got a perfect result. That doesn't happen in real life. You have to show how you deal with challenges. That's ultimately what they're trying to see from that, is how do you deal with these scenarios. It's like, oh, okay, well, they know how to make a user persona, that's cool. That design's really pretty, but in real life, how do you deal with being wrong? How do you deal with feedback? If the scope of work changes and your results are not what you expected them to be, how do you handle that? Do you just stop your project? No, of course not. You have to start the process over again. The design process is never linear. You're going to hear me say that all the time on my channel if you're new. The design process isn't linear. You have to show them, or at least be able to explain to them, but it should be apparent in your case study, how you deal with adversity, because you're going to deal with it a lot in work. I feel like my background isn't relevant to UX design. How do I get a job? Every background is relevant to UX design, because UX design is a lot of soft skills, like I talked about earlier. Like, it's easy to teach people design tools. People can learn the UX design process, but you have to have a certain personality type, or otherwise be able to take your past experiences and apply them to your job. I come from digital marketing, digital strategy, so I think like holistically about the business. I'm able to communicate pretty well with developers. I understand like, okay, well, how does this affect the whole company and their vision? While graphic designers may think only about the design and may not be thinking about like, okay, well, is this feasible for development? What about marketing, communicating with content strategists, stuff like that. So, but then they may have incredible UI design skills. So you have to really understand your strengths from your background. Even if you were a firefighter, a lot of communication involved, and empathy and everything, caring about others. Like if you were a janitor, you know, that is like task management, time efficiency. Like there's just like literally every background can apply to UX design if you look for the correlations. I have a video about all of this. I have videos about everything. Just go through my channel, please. I need those views. But really, any background is relevant. A lot of these roles are looking for a person. You know, you're not just a set of skills and a resume. So you can apply your background. What got you into that previous field? You know, think about all of that. Like, is it your personality type? Maybe you were a teacher before. That has a lot of skills that are applicable to UX design. You just gotta really understand that it's not just like a technical position. You have to see it as, okay, what type of person is good at this, and understand how your previous skills, your personality type, and your soft skills apply to that role. Why am I not getting interviews? So this is hard to go into without knowing who you are, because every situation is different. But major problems that I've seen: your portfolio, it's too small, or it doesn't go in depth, it's very superficial. You don't have actual UX design, it's all UI design and you're confusing the two, or it's graphic design, like you don't understand what UX design is and maybe you should be going into a different position. That's something to look into, or maybe like talk to someone in the field and ask. Case studies, pretty much the same thing. You're not going in depth, like it's either the number of case studies or the quality of case studies. You may be just copying and pasting from your boot camp or what you've seen other people do without actually understanding the design process, and people can see that. Your resume, it may not be tailored enough to the positions that you're applying for. This was a huge mistake of mine. I had way too much garbage on my resume, all these certifications in XR design, and like saying I can code when I really only have basic coding skills, and then like it was just all over the place. So you really have to understand what your skills actually are, what your interests actually are, and only include what's relevant. Don't include things that you think people will think is like impressive. Just include what you can actually do and what's actually relevant to the position. If you're applying for a job for just like a regular website, they don't care if you know how augmented reality works. Like just think about it from that perspective. You could also be applying to the wrong positions. So as I was saying about having the wrong job title, you may think that you're doing UX design, but you're actually doing UI design, or vice versa. You may be applying to the wrong positions. You may also be applying for something that you're overly qualified for. If you've been working for 10 years and you're applying for an internship, and like you have a master's degree, they might not be able to afford you. Maybe contracting roles would be better for you until you can build up your resume to get an in-house job if that's what you're looking for. Maybe you're applying for roles that you really shouldn't be, that need 5 years of experience. You're looking for a mid-level role when you haven't even had an entry-level position. So these are all things to think about. And then I feel like my boot camp isn't giving me what I need. Should I try something else? My advice for that is get over it. Hi guys, so I'm editing the video right now, and I'm seeing how upset I got, and I didn't really answer the question very well in a holistic context. I sort of got fixated on one part of it because that's the context people usually ask me this in, is like, oh, like I finished the intro course of Career Foundry and now I'm not moving forward because I don't like the documentation and the research and everything that I have to do. And that's where this tangent comes from. Because it is important to UX. But if you are struggling with the learning style of your bootcamp, I personally would finish it anyway if you can't get your money back. But then maybe try and supplement what you feel the bootcamp is missing with your own research or projects or whatever you feel you need to do. But I'm going to keep my tangent in for those of you that need to hear it. Brace yourself. I'm sorry, but these messages are so frustrating when people would contact me being like, oh yeah, like I started doing Career Foundry and I got past the intro in 2 weeks, and then I got into the immersion course and they have me doing documentation, and that's boring and I don't want to do that. And it's like, it's part of the job. Like you're not going to love every single aspect of your job. Documentation is important. You need to be able to communicate with other people. Just because you don't like it, like maybe this isn't the field for you if you're not willing to put in hard work in the parts that you don't like in order to have a successful project. It's important, and it's just super frustrating when people are like, yeah, it doesn't provide me what I need. And it's like, yeah, it absolutely does. It's forcing you to do the work that you don't want to do, but you have to do. So just very frustrating. If you find that the teaching style doesn't work for you, that's a totally different story. But if you're just like, I don't like the work they're making me do, okay, join a different field, because documentation is a part of UX. People gotta know what you're doing and the decisions that you're making. Like, you have to. So yeah, my advice for that is get over it or get out, honestly. And I know that sounds harsh, but it's just super frustrating because it's like you have the opportunity to change careers you've already made it past the first part. Yeah, the first part's fun because it's the intro course and you feel like a genius. But the immersion course, yeah, like it's hard work and it takes a long time and you have to stick it out and you have to put in the work in order to change careers. And I think a big part of that is that, I've talked about this before, that like in my little car rant, a lot of YouTubers in the UX design industry make it seem like it's so easy to just change careers in 2 weeks, when it's not like that. It's hard work and it sucks. So just stick with it. If you actually want to change careers, you have to stick with it. But if you actually wanted to change careers and you actually were right for UX design, I don't think you'd be asking me that question, so maybe reevaluate. Alright, well, I don't want this video to end on a sour note. It's just that question makes, like, it gets to me. Thank you guys so much for watching. There will be videos coming. I will have a nicer setup. I'm really, really excited for it. I'll be able to show you guys what it's like being a UX designer. If you have any questions at all, please, please, please leave them in the comments below. Remember to like this video and subscribe to my channel if you want more content. And yeah, I'm looking forward to talking to you guys soon. I'll let you know how things go. Don't forget about that workbook. The promo code is in my community tab, and I am looking forward to talking to you guys soon. Bye.